On this table is a company that once sold almost half the smartphones in America and today sells exactly zero. In 2009, presidents carried it. Wall Street ran on it. Congress was addicted to the little keyboard that clicked. At its peak, it had around 85 million subscribers and a nickname that made it into the dictionary: BlackBerry. Then a man in a black turtleneck held up a slab of glass, and the most secure company in tech decided it was a toy. Welcome to the corporate autopsy. I open up the biggest brands in the world and show you exactly how the money died. Today on the table, BlackBerry. Cause of death is not the iPhone. It is something the company did to itself, and I will show you the incision. Let me pull the sheet back to the beginning. This story starts in Waterloo, Canada in 1984. An engineer named Mike Lazaridis founds a company with the very serious name Research in Motion. For years, they built quiet, unglamorous wireless gadgets. Then, in 1999, they shipped the thing that changes everything. It was not really a phone. It was a pager with a full keyboard that could send and receive email anywhere. Understand what that felt like. For the first time, your office inbox lived in your pocket, buzzing on the train. They did not sell it to teenagers. They sold it to companies, to governments, to the people who could never be offline. And they built a fortress around it. Every message ran through BlackBerry's own secure servers, locked down tight. That security is why the National Security Agency cleared it, and why a newly elected president fought to keep his. In 2009, Barack Obama walks into the White House, refusing to give up his BlackBerry. You cannot buy an advertisement like that. The push email was so addictive that in 2006, an American dictionary named Crackberry its word of the year. Think about the position. Half the smartphone market, the president as a customer. A product so addictive it became a punchline. By its peak, the company would reach around 85 million subscribers worldwide. This was not a challenger. This was the throne. And here's the first note in the autopsy. Everything that made BlackBerry powerful was built for one kind of customer, the corporation. Now let me show you the feature that people loved most, because it is also the first place the rot sets in. In 2005, BlackBerry launches BlackBerry Messenger, BBM, free instant messages between any two BlackBerries. Remember, this is a world where a single text message still cost you money. And here was unlimited chat for free that felt private. Teenagers who had no business needing enterprise email suddenly wanted a BlackBerry, just for that little pin and the letter D for delivered. For one shining moment, the most boring corporate phone on earth became the coolest thing in the schoolyard. And BlackBerry made a decision that tells you everything about how it saw the world. BBM would only ever work on a BlackBerry. It was bait to sell hardware, not a product in its own right. Sit with that choice, because it is the whole tragedy in miniature. They had built the most popular messaging app of its day. They could have put it on every phone on Earth and owned how the planet talks. Instead, they locked it in a drawer to protect the keyboard. They believed the hardware was the treasure and the software was just a trick to sell it. That belief is what kills them. In January 2007, a man in a black turtleneck walks onto a stage in San Francisco and holds up the iPhone. No physical keyboard, just glass. A weak battery, a slow network, and it could not do the secure corporate email BlackBerry lived on. So the men who ran BlackBerry did the most dangerous thing a king can do. They laughed. The co-chief executive, Jim Balsillie, waved it off. A phone with no keyboard, running on a fragile touchscreen, was not a threat to real business. Mike Lazaridis, the engineer, looked at the battery and the bandwidth and saw a device that could not survive contact with a corporate network. And on the specifications of that first week, they had a point. That is what makes this autopsy so painful, because the iPhone was never really trying to be a better phone. It was a pocket computer that happened to make calls. In 2008, Apple opens the App Store. Suddenly, the phone is not about email. It is about 100,000 things other people build for it. Then, Google launches Android and hands that same idea to every other manufacturer on Earth for free. Here is the note I want carved into the table. BlackBerry was comparing phones. Apple and Google had quietly changed what a phone was. The question stopped being, does it have a good keyboard? The question became how many apps run on it. And on that question, BlackBerry had almost nothing. To BlackBerry's credit, they eventually noticed the ground moving. The problem is how a proud company responds when it is scared. It does not rethink. It rushes. It tries to bolt the future onto the past and prays nobody notices the seams. In 2008, they shipped the BlackBerry Storm. A touchscreen rushed out as an iPhone killer. It had a bizarre screen that physically clicked when you pressed it, and software that was not ready. Reviewers were brutal. A large carrier reportedly demanded that nearly every unit be replaced. It was not a product. It was a panic with a logo. Then, in 2011, comes the Playbook, a tablet meant to answer the iPad. It launched without a native email app. Read that again. The company whose entire empire was built on email shipped a device that could not, on its own, do email. This is the trap that kills dominant companies, so let me name it plainly on the table. It is not that they cannot see the threat. It is that everything that once made them great has become the thing holding them back. Their best engineers, their factories, their culture, their pride, all of it was tuned to build a secure keyboard phone for corporations. Asking that machine to become an open app platform was like asking a champion boxer to win a swimming race. The muscles were wrong. They keep insisting the customer wants what BlackBerry already does best. The certainty is the moment the fall truly begins. By 2011, the numbers turned savage. The market share that had been near 50% started sliding toward single digits. Every quarter, more of the faithful trade the clicking keyboard for a slab of glass and a wall of other people's apps. In 2013, the company bets its life on one last idea, a modern platform called BlackBerry 10 and a phone called the Z10. And here is the cruel part. It was a good phone, smooth, thoughtful, genuinely nice to use. It was also about 6 years too late. The customers were already gone, and the app developers had left with them. A phone in 2013 with no Instagram, no Netflix, no ecosystem, was a beautiful house on a street where nobody lived. That year, BlackBerry writes down nearly $1 billion of unsold and unwanted Z10 inventory. Phones nobody came to buy. The stock that had once been a national treasure in Canada collapses. Tens of thousands of jobs vanish. In late 2013, a deal is announced to take the whole company private for around $4.5 billion. Then the deal falls apart. A new chief executive, John Chen, walks in to find not a phone empire, but a patient on life support. And he makes the one honest decision nobody at the top had been willing to make. He stops pretending the phones will come back. In September 2016, BlackBerry announces it will no longer design or build its own phones. The company that defined the smartphone exits smartphones. The brand gets licensed out to other manufacturers who slap the name on Android phones for a few nostalgic years. Then, even that fades to nothing. So let me close the chest and tell you who actually killed BlackBerry, because the obvious answer is the wrong one. It was not Apple. Apple simply changed the definition of the product and let BlackBerry keep answering the old question. It was not one bad phone or one arrogant executive. Those were symptoms. Here is the real cause of death. BlackBerry confused the thing it sold with the reason people bought it. It thought it sold keyboards and security. It actually sold not being left behind. The moment the world moved to apps, being left behind meant having no apps. And the fortress they built to stay safe is exactly what locked them out. Every wall that once protected them, the closed software, the corporate focus, the secure servers, became the bars of the cage. That is the lesson I pull from almost everybody on this table. Dominance makes you rigid, and rigidity is fatal when the ground moves. But here is the twist most people miss, and it is the one part of this autopsy where the patient sits up. BlackBerry is not actually dead. It quietly stopped chasing phones and became a software and cybersecurity company instead. Its software now runs quietly inside cars and secure networks around the world. One of the most widely used systems you have never thought about. The empire of the keyboard died. The company survived only by finally letting go of the very thing that made it famous. That is the whole autopsy. The thing you are most proud of is usually the thing that kills you, right up until you are brave enough to bury it. If you want to watch me open up the next great brand and find out exactly how the money died, subscribe and pull up a chair. I am the coroner. The corporate autopsy is always open, and there is always another body on the table,